Alright, so I just joined a quick group of Fractal Tier 4 for level Fractal scale 78. So this is a daily and apparently we've got some nasty Instabilities. So I'm very interested into seeing what this is, and we already got one down. So I'm gonna post for a reset because they did start without me, and that was dumb. However, so this is something. I hope the music is let's just turn it down anyways in case. Okay, so I really hope that this isn't as bad as it looks, because no pain no gain is a lot worse than you might want to admit. The thing about no pain no gain, what the hell is going on with these guys? The thing about no pain no gain is that it just makes every single fight that much more annoying, and you add that with social awkwardness in this one with being pushed. So being pushed with social awkwardness pushing you further from your enemies. You cannot stack with your allies because of social awkwardness. With the pushes of the final boss, or the final part of this boss, is absolutely catastrophic, and I dread the thought of actually doing this. Now this is obviously just the first one. It's relatively easy. There's not gonna be much to go on. Use the cannons and just bombard some bitches. So that's obviously easy. Like I'm just gonna... Oh, we already have somebody doing it even. Now the other one, which also really does not help, is the birds. Now the birds isn't I never found the birds to be an issue. This is just a personal opinion based on my capabilities as a player. The thing with the birds that really makes it nasty for this particular fractal is the fact that they, well, add another target. And in a fractal where target manipulation and destroying ants is so crucial for progress and survival, that is very nasty. And now I've talked about this before with some of the people who know me, is that fractals is no longer based on skill or how good your team comm is. It's just how lucky can you get with not being screwed over by a mechanic, the randomized algorithm that decides what it's gonna do. Like even with just this, the first mate, we are seeing actual, like look at how, this is way more difficult than it has any right to be. Look at these conditions. Like how do you actually fight that when it comes with the no pain no gain? And that's the problem. No pain no gain will add way more than birds, by the way, here. Like look at the amount of mobs helped with no pain no gain, because that's the thing, is they survive with it. One protection will decrease your progression so much more than you would think. Of course, the blinding from birds doesn't help, generally speaking. Now, this is already a hell of a fractal. Like, this is... No one likes this fractal. I like it, but a lot of people do not like it due to the amount of punishment that the players receive based on almost nothing. Like this, you get punished for just existing in this fractal, and that's highly uncomfortable to play, and it doesn't exactly incentivize people to get better. It just makes people either commit with stubbornness or commit to just not do it, like just give up. Like look at these, the amount of these mobs here, because the cannons can't even kill them quick enough due to no pain no gain. Like this is literal cancer. Luckily they do disappear, but look at my health. Like I am a firebrand and my health is absolutely vanquished. Before the fight starts, I was almost down. I had almost lost my singularity, sorry, because I couldn't impossibly couldn't handle the amount of pressure that the mobs have put. Now you look at my tomes, all my tomes have been used, and 2 of them were used pre-fight. There we go, like the boss is barely down 60% and I lost my singularity. Now that just spells how exactly am I supposed to fight. Now I still don't have my Tome of Courage, I still don't have that one. We are constantly being pressured by other mobs with absolutely minimal, like we have absolutely no way of fighting this. Like that's 1 down. The Chronomancer's down now, by the way. He's not getting up. Like you go down out there, you're not going up. It's that simple. Now mechanically, this fractal is not hard. Like, it isn't. But it's not the mechanics that makes this hard, it's the mist-lock instabilities. And this is a wipe. And now, obviously this does give us a chance to come back later on. So I'm just gonna GG, don't want my armor broken. So now we get to actually do it properly with having all our skills ready, but it honestly won't matter. I would have procced my Tome of Courage way earlier in the fight anyways, and we would have reached the same result, conclusion most likely. Now the Chrono have just rage quit at this point. Now this is just something you'll most likely find everywhere. Like this is just gonna be very common, and that's the thing with like that's the thing just with this fractal and continued instability use is that people are just gonna give up. They're not gonna do them anymore. And we have had this problem in the past where mistlocks combined into a borderline like just impossible, literally impossible. The mathematics just couldn't add up. No group could actually beat them, and we had several days where not a single group passed through. You could probably find evidence of it on the net a bunch of places, but this isn't even the worst that it could get. This isn't the worst that it could get. I would definitely say that the birds is probably one of the lesser ones here. This could have been worse. If this was We Bleed Fire, I think we would have been more screwed up. If this was Last Laugh, here Last Laugh would have been absolutely devastating. And that's the thing about this like particular form of setup or content, is that it doesn't really matter how fucking good you are. There's just some content you won't be able to do. Just simple as that. No, don't run, dude, come on, oh my god. And I, for one, hate content where just because it's hard for the sake of being hard. Increased numbers, increased sources of damage, increased potato. That is not fun. That is not engaging content. And that is why, like, you see a lot of people have this diminishing returns when it comes to, like, doing fractal dailies, doing rating dailies. Because, well, rating is a little bit better on this account, but fractals have gotten a lot out of hand lately with it's simply just a spam. Like, this is spam. This is, like, who can actually see every detail that's going on here? Look at all the mobs. Look at all the enemies. How is anyone supposed to properly combat this? Like, this is so this conclusion, this result is probably on the most positive ends. I was only like, I don't know how much these guys have struggled. I don't know how many tries they had before they got me. I got here, I only wiped twice. I can only imagine how worse this can get. Now we had this again back in the past with, not even that far back, we had this with, what's her name? Just gonna check the Fractal console for the name. The Twilight Oasis, we had like certain matchups with Twilight Oasis that just made the Balthazar version. This was before the boss checkpoint on her, so you had to start the whole fight over. We actually had a combination of instabilities that made the Balthazar version of that fight impossible due to how many hits you got, and she just had all the buffs in the game at that point, and you would just not even slowly, you would very rapidly start chipping away your health because of that. And they changed it, and they added the checkpoint, so the boss every phase is a checkpoint and etc. But this already has that. This final boss already has that. You fight the first mate first, you defeat him, then you are at the checkpoint basically. You unlock the cannon phase, you finish the cannon phase, that's a checkpoint. However, the boss itself is still, the rate at which you get pushed away is still insane. And it has nothing to do with skill, because you are getting frozen, you are getting crippled, you are getting weakened, you are getting blinded, you are getting confused. Your mobility is greatly inhibited, your overall play space is greatly inhibited, you're suffering incredible amount of pressure from all directions, projectiles, melee combat damage. Of course, the 2 seconds, 3 seconds of daze from the boss, which forces you to always have a stun break ready, or have your healers and supports with a stun break. Now, I as a Firebrand, I'm very lucky to have potent freedom. But like, imagine groups without Firebrands that can't break stuns for the entire group, that don't have Chronomancers because they want something off meta. Now, this is something again that I've talked with the people that go into this stuff, is that you're very forced into these meta situations where you gotta have the meta setup, because simply you cannot succeed. And if you do, it's probably through arduous amounts of trial and error, and then maybe some luck thrown in there just for good measure. And it adds for very poor experience, and no one's happy. There's no player who's gonna go out of there and so go like, oh well, that was satisfying. I really felt like, oof, that was so good. Can't wait for tomorrow. No one's gonna go like that. And this is why we see a lot of people complain about, how do you earn gold? Well, that's because they stopped doing fractals. Like, it goes into so many situations, so many problems. Like, people stop doing fractals, they lose the biggest source of income in the game. They lose their probably equally biggest source of progression in the game as well. And I mean, again, I was just lucky with this one. I'm assuming that the Chronomancer probably was there from the start and just saw how it was hopeless. And I will bet you 1,000 gold that he is going to skip level 78 today. He's not gonna do that. Maybe he will try with his guildmates and maybe they'll succeed. Or maybe they won't, but most likely he will skip them. I have no doubt of that. I mean, and that's one of the big reasons why I stopped doing fractals for a long time, is that it stopped being based on skill, and they just kept adding all these spammy damage for the sake of damage kind of instabilities, and even fractal levels. Like, I take Deepstone as the worst one, where very little skill is required. However, you just get damage from everywhere. And with limited play space, you're prone to make mistakes and eventually wipe, and it's not fun. So yeah, that's at least my 2 cents on that. RIP.